Okay, so question number one, we're going to give it a shot. What information must be disclosed to a client when she does a trade with a broker-dealer? The reason the trade was suitable, a prospectus, any excessive fees, the brochure, or the Form ADV. Okay, so first of all, broker-dealer, you don't need the brochure or ADV. That's for advisors. Prospectus, only when it's a new issue. You don't have to give them the reason the trade was suitable. So I would say any excessive fees or commissions, you have to give them. And where is that? Look at that, and we're right. Good. Let's move on to the next one. 1 second. Turn this down a little. Okay. An insurance agent works in an office building down the hall from a broker-dealer. They are not affiliated. What compensation may the agent receive from the broker-dealer in exchange for referrals? So I'm an insurance agent and I'm working down the hall from a broker-dealer. I'm going to send a referral. What can I give him commissions? No, because he's not registered. 12B1 fees? No. Discounted commissions? No. Basically, if you're an insurance agent and I'm a regular agent and you send me referrals, then I can only give you back referrals. I cannot pay you at all unless you're registered. I better be right. That's good. Okay. When providing advice according to prudent investor standards, an agent should perform all of the following activities except. When providing advice according to prudent investor standards, an agent should perform all of the following activities except pay close attention to the goals of the client, obviously. Focus on avoidance of risk. We'll come back to that. Develop an investment policy, yes. And diversify appropriately, absolutely. All three are good. You're not going to avoid risk. You're trying to manage risk, not avoid it. Okay, so the answer is going to be B. Boom. Okay. A broker-dealer is registering a new issue with the administrator of State A. What information must be sent to the administrator? Okay, so we're registering a new issue. I would have to give you the number of shares, the articles of incorporation, which is basically how we're incorporated, all the rules. I think we have to put the financials, the tax identification number. I'm going to say yes. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I do think you have to give them that. That's their social security number. Oh, and you don't need that. So that's a good thing. You do not need the tax identification number. I wasn't sure about that. An investment advisor rep was just appointed by a trustee to manage the assets of a small trust. The IAR has analyzed the trust's current portfolio and is recommending that the assets be reallocated. According to the Uniform Prudent Investor Act, the IAR's main focus when investing the trust assets should be, okay, basically, so let's see. So preservation of principal, that's not my main. I don't always have to protect the principal. I have to take some risk to get a return. Earning the maximum return possible, that's not really a thing. That's nice, but it's not really what you're looking for. You're not going to try to avoid large losses. So what you're trying to do is manage risk versus reward. That's almost always the case. You're not trying to get rid of risk or take a lot of it. You're trying to find the right balance between the two. An insurance agent is soliciting for an investment advisor. So I'm an insurance agent getting clients for an investment advisor, which is a firm. The agent receives 25 basis points for every client he refers to the advisory firm. Under the USA Act, the insurance agent he's exempt from registration. No, he's getting paid. May need to register as an IA. We'll come back to that. May need to register as an investment advisor representative. Is defined as a finder. So he's not a finder. Finders finds clients for broker-dealers. They have to be registered. So the answer is he an IA or an IAR? So since he's an individual, I'm going to lean toward IAR. It easily could be IA because they're vague on this, not on the real exam. So I'm going to say they have to go with an IAR because it's an individual. Let's see if I'm right. Look at that. Okay. Which of the following actions would violate the NASAA statement of policy on dishonest and unethical business practices of broker-dealers? So let's go. A broker-dealer executes a transaction in a margin account shortly before the client signs a margin account agreement, arrives in the mail. I'm going to come back on that one because technically you can start as long as agreement's in the mail and they're sending it. A broker-dealer will state that it'll charge extra for certain transactions. That's fine. As long as you let them know that you're charging, that's fine. An agent creates a marketing brochure for distribution to clients that includes only the positive facts. That's bad. You have to do good and bad. An agent opens a joint account with a client with a written permission of her employer. That's totally fine. You can always, as long as you get permission of the employer, you can have a joint account with your clients. Okay. So I'm going to go with C. So a broker. So first of all, you can, if you create a marketing brochure, you have to give the good and the bad, balance it out. The reason A is okay is because you don't have to have all this stuff sent ahead of time. It just has to be within a reasonable amount of time. So that better be right. Good. Okay. Trading in WXYZ has been particularly heavy, and the stock's price has been fluctuating wildly. A customer calls her agent and asks what the current price of the stock is. Since she is considering selling her position in WXYZ, the agent is extremely busy and last saw a price of 22 on the stock 20 minutes ago. Okay. I think I know where they're going. The agent tells the customer last price I have for it is 22 without telling her that it was from a while ago. The agent then takes another phone call. The investor enters an order online to sell the stock and receives an execution at 19. Which of the following statements is true regarding the price given by the agent? Okay. Information about stock price is not guaranteed, and therefore customers must interpret. No, she did not tell her that it was from 20 minutes ago. That's not her fault. That's on the agent. There's nothing wrong with the statement since it's true. No, because it's misleading. The statement is misleading since the agent did not indicate how old the price was. That's the point. They didn't indicate that it was from 20 minutes ago. This statement would be considered misleading because the customer subsequently sold the stock based on the agent's quote. Okay. Now, it's not, if they say it's D, I'll be pissed, but it's not misleading because they sold. It's misleading because the person didn't tell them that it was old. You have to give current quotes. Persons providing investment advice do not need to register as IAs if they, okay, only deal with insurance or investment companies and no place of business. Right. If they have no place of business and they only have institutions, we're good. If they are a savings institution, bank, or trust company, again, banks are freaking exempt from everything. Are in the profession of making the performance of the service incidental. Right. If you remember, exemptions from IA are plate, publisher, lawyer, accountant, teacher, engineer, as long as they're doing it incidental and not charging. And deal with only broker-dealers and investment advisors, which are institutions and has no place of business. I'm going to go with 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sure I missed something there, but boom, that should be the answer. Okay. The term churning, we know what churning is, excessive trading. Trading done solely to make it appear as activity in the account. No, that's market manipulation. Sale of an unregistered non-exempt security, that's just a violation. Trading one security for another in a client's account, that's fine. I mean, people go in and out all the time. Boom, there it is, excessive activity in the client's account. Sometimes they won't use the word excessive. They may just say trading just to create commissions, something like that. The customer wishes to liquidate 50 grand from her existing holdings and invest the proceeds in 3 different mutual fund families. Okay, that's a little tough. The agent fails to notify the customer that it may be advantageous to invest the entire $50,000 with one fund family. This activity could potentially be, okay, A, churning, that's excessive trading, that doesn't work. Selling a dividend, that's if you try to get someone to buy stock before the X day for this misleading dividend. Switching is putting people in and out of mutual funds to create the sales charges. And engaging in breakpoint sales. The reason is that if you put them in one family, like a Fidelity, even if you invest in multiple funds in the family, you will get breakpoints. But if you invest in T. Rowe and Vanguard and Fidelity, they don't care what you're putting in other people's stuff. So that would be, you're going to have to pay the full sales charge. So I'm going to go with engaging in breakpoint sales. Very good, Ken. Okay. XYZ broker-dealer is located in state A, where there's only one office. Under the USA Act, XYZ would not meet the definition of a broker-dealer in state B in which of the following situations? Under the Uniform Securities Act, XYZ would not meet the definition of a broker-dealer in state B in which of the following situations? Okay. It sold securities to an investment company in B. That's not, but there's no office, institutional. It only does business with financial institutions. Boom, they're not. So that's 2. It entering transaction with the resident of state A who is temporarily in B, temporary residency. I would say all 3. They don't have to register. Let's hope I'm not wrong. Boom. A broker-dealer employs several agents who conduct business on the premises of a federally chartered bank. The broker-dealer just fired one of the agents. The broker-dealer also suspects that the agent may have falsified client records under NASAA model rules for sales of securities of financial institutions. The broker-dealer must. Okay. Anytime if they do that whole bank thing where you have the broker-dealer on the presence of a bank, if anyone commits a felony or violation or anything, you have to notify the bank. So our answer here should be, let's go, notify the bank promptly, maybe, retain counsel. Well, that's obviously true, but that's not a rule. Notify the state's attorney's office. Why would you do that? And submit the mandatory, there's no such thing as mandatory mediation. So whenever you have a broker-dealer on the banks of a bank, you are going to notify the bank promptly. Boom. Okay. Give me 1 second. Don't worry. You can read that and try to answer it yourself. Hey, is he ready? Is she ready? Hello? Hello? Stay there, man. I'll be there in 1 second. Okay, I am back. Oh, sorry, I moved the phone. Okay. Under the USA, which of the following transaction would not be exempt? Remember, not exempt. An offer to an investment company, probably because it's an institution. A transaction by an executive estate, we'll come back to that. That may be true. It depends. There's some tricky stuff. An unsolicited issuer transaction, boom. Unsolicited is usually, the problem is it has an issuer, and a transaction by a trustee that involved the bankruptcy. So A, institution, we're good. B, transaction by an executive estate, we're going to say that's exempt transaction also, not an exempt security, exempt transaction. D, a transaction by a trustee, that's almost the same as the letter B. If you're a trustee in a bankruptcy, exempt transaction, you should know that from reading your book. An unsolicited non-issuer transaction would be the right answer. So it's going to be C because you're dealing with this issuer. Boom. When a broker-dealer is acquired by another broker-dealer, when will the agent's registrations expire? Boom. Okay, I'm not even going to go through this because always whenever agents' registrations expire on the 31st, I better be freaking right. Agents, IARs, BDs, and IAR, BD, and agent, all their stuff expires on the 31st. Securities expire 1 year from registration. Adam is an insurance agent. His father, Ted, is an IA. It really should be IAR, but it's fine. Adam receives 25 basis points for every client he refers to Ted. Under USA, he may need to register as an investment representative. We've done this already. I don't know why they asked the same question 3 times. He's not a finder. That's broker-dealers. He's not an IA because he's an individual, and he's not exempt from registration. So boom. Which 2 forms must an agent obtain from a client in order to purchase securities in a margin account? Well, okay, I need a hypothecation, which is I'm using, if you remember from the 6 or the SIE, hypothecation is saying I'm going to use the shares I buy as collateral for the loans. I'm going to say 1 is a definite. Loan consent is optional. That's allowing your shares to be lent out to short sellers. So I'm going to say throw that out. I'm going to say 2 is not an answer. 1, so I know it's either 1 and 3 or 1 and 4. So a signed credit agreement and a signed new account for him. So let's assume that he's already, since he's opening a margin, he's already has a new account for him. So we're going to say it should be 1 and 3, a signed credit agreement. Let's go with that. Let's see how that runs. Boom, got it. Okay, a client may bring civil action if an agent is not registered. Fair enough. An offer is made but no sale occurs. No. Misleading statements are made and the client relies on those statements to make a purchase. Yes. Client securities are commingled with other client securities. No, because you can commingle securities with securities of customers, not the individual. So let's go with 1 and 3 if that's a choice. Watch, I'll be wrong on this because I'm missing something, but there it is. So again, agent's not registered. Yeah, you do something an agent's not registered, you can sue. And if you have any misleading statements that he did it on. If you don't have both an offer and a sale, there's no violation because nothing freaking happened. And client securities can be commingled with other clients. They cannot be commingled with broker-dealers and agents. Okay. If an agent violates the USA, the admin may not. 1, he can administer an oath, make you promise. C, can he subpoena? You can always subpoena. That's just a request for records. Release amount of violation on the website. They always do that. If you screw up, they're going to publish it. And then B, arrest subjects. Boom. Admins can't arrest or charge for crime. They can say, nor can they file an injunction, which is all legal stuff. That would be the cops do that in the courts. Boom. No arresting. All the following products are securities except, okay, variable, boom, means it's a security. Annuity contract to several sub-accounts. We'll come back to that because usually sub-account means variable. C, universal is just an insurance policy. So that's probably it. And then we come back to D, life insurance, sub-account, keyword. Sub-account means security. If I'm wrong, I'll be mad, but that should be letter C because it's just a life insurance. Which of the following activities require a CPA to register as an investment advisor representative under the USA? Okay, if he provides advice about precious metals, I'm starting with D because I know where the right answer is. Providing advice about precious metals, those aren't securities, nobody cares. If he provides advice on real estate, again, not a security, it's fine. Recommending that a client invest in tax-free munis, but it doesn't say he's getting paid for it, so you can say whatever they want as an accountant because that's part of the plate, publisher, lawyer, accountant, teacher, engineer. Soliciting advisory services on behalf of an IA for a fee, boom. So soliciting that, because since he's getting a fee and he's trying to send people there, he wants to get paid. That better be the answer. He's a solicitor. Which of the following business practices would be prohibited? Not identifying a client's objectives. Damn right you got to do that. Borrowing from a client. Yes. Overstating the value of a client's account. Of course. Guaranteeing against a loss. All 4 are correct. They're bad things that you can't do. Boom. Okay. 1 second. There's my next phone ring. Sorry, busy, but at least you're getting the whole thing and it's not pausing it. Okay, so now, registration by coordination. It's very hard to find time to do anything here. Registration by coordination is used in conjunction with which of the following actions? Coordination. Okay, qualification is 1 state. Coordination is multiple states plus the SEC. Notice filing is just the SEC. So Investment Company Act of 40, no, that's mutual funds. Advisors Act, that's advisors. SEC at 34, that's for trading. So I'm going to go with 33, registration. Boom. Offering which of the following goods or services would be a violation of soft dollar if the broker-dealer provides them to the advisor in exchange for executing transactions. So what's allowed for soft dollar? What's not allowed? Okay. You can do third-party, you can do research, you can do software, and you can do more research, which is D. A, B, and D are all okay, plus ticket to a seminar. You cannot help them with compliance. That's like paying a salary. It has to be soft dollars only for stuff that helps the person invest, not run his business. Good. An agent's registration package should include the application and the consent to serve as a process always, okay. Filing fees, I agree. And probably a mandatory arbitration agreement. I don't know if you have to do that. Let's see. Results. Well, this is a tough one because who the hell fucking cares on this shit? Consent to serve as a process always. That's allowing the administrator to accept legal papers on your behalf. Filing fees, I would say, and a mandatory arbitration agreement. I would go with, oh my God, motherfucker. Can they fucking stop? I just want to get this done. Okay. An agent's registration pack should include, I don't know the answer. I'm going to pick one that looks best because you're not going to get 100%. So let's say We don't need the results, just to pass. Boom. Just consent to service our process filing fees. Nobody gives a shit. You're never going to get a question on that. Which of the following statements is true concerning the posting of bonds by a broker-dealer? Which of the following statements is true concerning the posting of bonds by a broker-dealer? There is no bond requirement if they don't have custody. That's a true statement. Because remember, you have to think surety bond, custody, surety bond, custody. Okay. You can only waive it if they have enough net capital, not if they've been business. Basically, surety bonds are for custody. So I would say the only thing A is the only answer that could work. All the following statements are true regarding the preparation and maintenance of records by investment advisors and broker-dealers. All the following statements are true regarding the preparation and maintenance of records by investment advisors and broker-dealers, except correcting amendments must be filed promptly if information is documented. Yes, if there's an incorrection, you have to file promptly. Only an admin within the same state may examine the records. No, you can investigate in other states. So that might be the good statement that we have to go with. The admin may determine the records prepared may be different. Yes, I think they can do different ones. And all records must be preserved for a period determined by the admin. Yep, that works. So I'm going to go with B because you can investigate in other states. A broker-dealer located in state A in business for 3 years goes out of business in July. Some of the principals of the firm start a new broker-dealer in August of that year. Which of the following statements is true concerning the broker-dealer's registration fee? If fee is not working, the appropriate registration fee must be paid because it's just, I think you're starting a new broker-dealer. So the other stuff doesn't matter. They're trying to trick you into if one broker-dealer takes over another, then you don't have to pay fees to the end of the year. But since it's a new broker-dealer, I would think you have to pay registration fees. Good, okay. An agent has been executing transactions that are not reflected on the books and records. Okay. This activity requires registration as an investment advisor. No, because IAs give advice, not execute out. B, you can't be an agent as an investor. Registration as an investment advisor. Again, no, because again, that's about giving advice. Suspension of the broker-dealer, probably not. Registration by the agent as a broker-dealer, because if you're doing transaction outs off the books and records, you better damn well be registered as a broker-dealer or an agent. Okay. According to the USA, which of the following statements are not true concerning a broker-dealer or IA filing an application or registration as a successor firm? Successor firm is when one firm takes over another. Okay, the successor firm must be, okay, the new firm does not need to be in existence before it takes over. So one is out. So we're going to pick one because that's a bad statement. The successor firm will be effective for the unexpired portion of the year. That's a true statement. So it's not going to be 2. So basically B and C are out. So it's either 3 or 1 and 3. So obviously it has to be 1 and 3. But the successor firm must file the following along with application. I would say yes. So I'm going to go with this. Boom. Okay. So look, they're asking what's not true. Okay. You don't have to submit the filing fee too. You pay no fees when you apply. That's why 1 and 3 are correct, meaning incorrect. An agent inadvertently sold an unregistered non-exempt security to a client. Under the USA, which of the following actions may be taken? I sold an unregistered non-exempt security. Not a good thing. 1, getting the security registered as soon as possible. Yeah, that kind of makes sense, but that's a true statement, but it doesn't help you right now. So 1 is out. Buying the security back from the customer. I can do that. That's called rescission. And then 3 should be the answer. Another one, paying the customer the maximum legal rate of interest. This is all called rescission, making the customer whole. So the answer should be 2 and 3. Yeah, you should get it registered, but that doesn't help you in this case. An admin has determined that a broker-dealer sold private placement securities to 35 retail in the admin's estate. Which of the following statements is true if the broker-dealers do not comply with the cease-and-desist order issued by the admin? Again, not a testable thing. Okay, the broker-dealer is required to participate in a hearing. You don't have to do anything. The broker-dealer will be required to send the client a letter of rescission. We'll come back to that. The broker-dealer will be required to register the securities. The administrator may bring action in a court to request an injunction. That's probably the answer, because they can ask for an injunction. They can't do it themselves. And an injunction is a legal thing from a court saying you can no longer do work. That might be the answer. An admin who requires the posting of a bond may accept cash, may accept securities. Okay. I always remember this is a tricky question that they don't ask, but we know 1 and 2 are right. So it has to be, so we throw C out. So the question is, use discretion as to whether the type of securities and the amount of the deposit are appropriate. Use discretion whether they accept deposit or cash instead of a bond. Okay, so I think they throw 4 out. You can't choose whether to accept cash or securities. I think they have to. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3 for the bond. We'll come back. We'll see if we're wrong or right on that. Boom. Okay. So I can accept cash or so this is for a surety bond. I can accept cash or securities, and I can decide if the securities are good enough. Like if they're pink sheets, they may not accept them. Which of the following individuals would not be considered an agent? Okay. If you represent an issuer, I think that you're accepting, the issuer's directors. Maybe not. We'll come back to that. But getting a commission usually means you're an agent. A person representing a broker-dealer in non-exempt transactions, that would be an agent. A person, because it doesn't matter whether security is exempt or not. You're selling securities for a broker-dealer, you got to frickin' register. A person employed by a broker-dealer as a sales assistant who accept orders, I think you do if you accept an order. Boom, there it is. And a person representing an issuer who does not accept commissions and he's doing exempt transactions, meaning selling it to his own employees. The reason A is not okay is because he's getting a commission. Boom. Under what circumstances are agents permitted to sell securities to clients in transactions that are not recorded on the books and records of their employing broker-dealers? Fucking A. If you're doing a business off the broker-dealer, you need goddamn permission. So let's find out. If you don't get compensation, maybe that's the answer. The securities are exempt. That doesn't matter. This is generally not permitted under any circumstances. That's under any circumstances, unless it's crime, is not good. And the purchaser a member of the agent's immediate family. No. So I'm going to go with that. If you're just helping out a friend, you usually be okay. Ooh, that's not true. I disagree with that, because use the word under any circumstances is bad. If you get permission from your firm, it's fine. As long as you get permission, it's called a private securities transaction. I disagree with this one. Under the USA Act, a state admin may not enjoin. He cannot do injunctions. So A is probably the answer. Conduct an investigation. They can always investigate. Conduct investigations. They can always investigate. And issue a subpoena. That's a request for records. They can always do that. Enjoin, no injunctions, baby. According to the USA, an entity can avoid meeting the definition of a broker-dealer if it has no office, no retail. Ooh. I don't think 1 and 2 mean anything. I don't think 3 means anything. So basically, I don't know about 3, but I'm going to go with 1 and 2. Boom. So no office, no retail, no register. Remember that. No office, no retail, no register. And if it's an IA, they get up to 5. Only the IAs get up to 5, not the broker-dealers or agents. You have 1 single retail client in a state, you got to register. Which of the following brochure delivery periods applies to IAs under the USA? Okay, so there's 2 things before I read the answers. IAs have to deliver the brochure 48 hours before they sign the contract on the state level. On the federal level, they have to send it at or prior to signing. Okay. A, if an ADV or brochure is not provided at least 48 hours prior to signing the contract, that's a true statement. Clients must be given 5 days to rescind without penalty. That's true. So that's probably the answer. If an ADV or brochure is not provided, they get 10 days. No. Clients must receive the brochures 4 days prior to signing the contract or to rescind. No, they can always rescind it. Clients must receive the advisor's brochure, part 2, 5 business days. No, it's not 5 days. It's got to be 8 because they get 5 days. They get 5 days if you don't do it. Okay. Boom. Which of the following choices are considered fraud? What's a fraud? Misstating a fact about an issuer. We'll come back to that. Withholding any fact. It's not any. It's withholding material facts out. Neglecting to obtain relevant information about an investor. We do need that, but it's not fraudulent. I think it's just unethical, which is not criminal. Omitting a fact that is relevant to making a decision. That's interesting. So it's either A or D. Misstating. I think misstating is act. But it says A fact, it doesn't material. So we're going to go with D because it's relevant to making a decision. And I could be wrong. There we go. So A fact is like the guy wears red shoes. We don't care. But a relevant one is like, oh, they just signed with, they're getting sued or something. Okay. Which of the following activities does not meet the definition of an exempt transaction under the USA? Which is not an exempt transaction. So an issuer of an IPO distributes shares to the lead underwriter. That is, because issuers sell shares to the underwriter, that would be an exempt transaction. Bankruptcy trustee liquidates to debtors. Bankruptcy is trustee for bankruptcy is exempt transaction, not exempt security. So C is saying basically that's an unsolicited transaction. And D, an agent sells units in a Canadian limited partnership to several of our clients. That would not be an exempt transaction because that's straight up just selling to your clients. The first three, exempt transactions, IPO, issuer selling to an underwriter is fine. Bankruptcy trustee is exempt transaction, and unsolicited is an exempt transaction. Okay. An agent tells a supervisor that 12 years ago, a company that the agent founded had to declare bankruptcy. The agent just discovered that the county has recently imposed a tax lien on rental property that is refinancing. The agent is disputing the assessment. Which of the following issues is the agent required to disclose? The refinancing, no. The bankruptcy, no. The agent is not required to disclose any issues. Since the bankruptcy is more than 10 years, it doesn't matter, but I think it's going to be the tax lien because that's within 10 years. Boom. Under an underwriting agreement, the syndicate will be given warrants as part of its compensation package. That's an offer. The warrants can be exercised anytime in the next 2 years under the USA. Which two things are true? The issuer must register the stock or distribute it under exemption. That's true because you can either have to register or exempt, or you can't give I think the answer is the warrants are kind of useless unless the shares are registered or exempt because then they can't exercise them. You can't do something when the registration statement is filed because that means you don't know if it's going to be effective or not. So I think it's going to be 1 and. Okay, so they under state reporting requirements. I'm going to say it's 1 and 3 because 2, just because it's filed doesn't mean anything. And I don't think your reporting requirements aren't only while it's being distributed, it's while it's active. So I'm going to say 1 and 3. I could be wrong. Again, a little too detailed for me, but let's go with it. Okay. Basically, if you withdraw, it becomes effective 30 days later. That's just a freaking fact. It better be. Good. According to the USA, a person is not considered an IA if the advice provided covers only. I'll say that universal life because I don't know about A. I know what they are, but I don't know if they're considered securities. But B and D are securities, so they would not be exempt. So I'm going to say, or they are securities. So I'm going to say C. Boom, because it's life insurance. It's like selling tires. You don't have to register. An agent overhears that the chairman of a large manufacturing firm may be removed because of his erratic social behavior. He's nuts. The agent decides to call all of our clients who own shares of the manufacturing and tell them to liquidate their positions. That's kind of not good, right? Okay, this action was based on material inside information. So just because you tell them that doesn't absolve you. You're putting them all in trouble. This is a prohibited use of a rumor. Okay, maybe the rumor may not have an effect on the market. And you wait to get a better feel. No, that's not true. Initiating transactions based on a rumor is acceptable if it results in profits. That's not true. So the action is basically you're using a rumor to induce a sale, and it better be the answer. So A sounds good, but just because you tell them doesn't mean you can give them inside information. Okay. Under the USA, what best describes the term inspectorial powers? The state's admin to delegate responsibility to SROs, which are FINRAs. I don't think so. To have special investigators review the records of RIAs. We'll come back to that. The state admin's power to apply a stop order. No, I don't even know what that is. Basically, it should be D. They can subpoena records inside and outside the state. That means they can ask for records inside and outside the state. Boom. Okay. A company is conducting an IPO, first-time offer. Its shares will be listed on the exchange. For how long does a broker-dealer that is part of the selling group need to make the prospectus available to investors? So if it's over-the-counter IPO, it's 90 days. If it's over-the-counter additional, it's 40. If it's an IPO of a stock exchange, it should be 25 days. Boom. Everyone's an agent, but clerk taking telephone quotes. No, it's not. Accepting orders, secretary, that's a quote. That's an agent. Salesperson, you're affecting transactions, you're an agent. Basically affecting transactions, working for a broker-dealer, you are an agent. So a clerk taking a quote means nothing, you're a secretary. An advisory client in your firm has contacted the admin of the state of Kentucky about a possible violation of the USA. The firm has its home office in Illinois and is registered in both states. Which of the following actions would the administrator of Kentucky be least likely to take regarding the thing? So he would not do nothing. That's these things. He can call the Illinois guy. He can start an investigation. He can begin an investigation. What he would not do is do nothing. And that's like always a trick question. Which of the following persons must be registered as an agent under the USA? A clerk who gives nominal quotes. We'll come back to that. A person is employed by a broker-dealer and forwards them to register personnel. That's not. They're just a secretary. An individual sells securities on behalf of an issuer to issuer's employees but does not earn a commission. That's not. And a sales assistant authorized to take orders. Boom, she's taking orders. She has to register. A broker-dealer is participating in an IPO of a security that will be listed on NASAA. Which of the following documents is a broker-dealer required to deliver to a client who purchases in the aftermarket after completion? Okay. Again, I got to press pause because it's... Hello? Hey, yeah, this is Ken, but I'm actually on a phone call right now. Can you call me back like tomorrow, Monday if you can? Thank you so much. Bye-bye. We're back. Sorry about that, but okay. The broker-dealer is participating in an IPO of a security that will be listed on NASDAQ. What do I have to give to a client who purchases in the aftermarket? I would think. Let's go with D. It's a trick question. It's either going to be B or D. Let's go with D. Okay, they're saying a final prospectus because it's within, maybe it's within the 90 days. Does it say? See, here's the thing. Oh, immediately after completion. Okay, so the point here is that I missed that. But if it's immediately after, that means it's within 25 days of the IPO. So then you would have to give it to them. A client lists capital preservation as, so I want to be preserve my capital. I'm thinking treasuries. The agent recommends that the client purchase blue chips and investment grade bonds. The agent tells the client to sell some of the shares every 2 weeks. Boom. Okay, so that's already, okay. According to NASAA, the agent has. So done nothing wrong? No, that's not true. Made unsuitable recommendations? Maybe. Engage in unauthorized trading. Well, he's telling the client to do something. So technically he didn't churn it and he didn't do unauthorized trading. I think he's doing unsuitable. If he did the trades himself, it would be A or D. I could be wrong on this, but boom. The reason here is that to churn the account and engage in unauthorized trading, he didn't do the trading. He told the client to do it. Even though the client wanted preservation of capital, those are unsuitable. Peggy is an agent at a BD. She also spends several days every month conducting business on the premise of a retail bank. According to NASAA model rules for sale of securities at financial institutions, what precautions must Peggy have in place to continue business at the branch? So with D, there's no special provisions. That's not true. When you put a broker-dealer in a bank, you have to do certain things. Peggy's workers should be segregated where retail, that's true statement, okay? Bank must apply for and be granted special limited registration. And disclosures that securities products are not SIPC insured must be promptly displayed in the bench. Here's the problem. A and C are both correct. So I'm going to go with A because I like the whole SIPC thing, but it easily could be C. So C has to be segregated, but you also have to make sure they have to make sure they're not SIPC insured, I guess, in the broker-dealer part. So we can, I see why C is right, but I wasn't sure. Okay. Jeff White and Mary Johnson have formed a corporation to start a new BD. Again, this is why I like the real exam because it's clear. Here, they're a little vague. Jeff White and Mary Johnson have formed a corp to start a broker-dealer. They are sole shareholders. Which of the following grounds could the admin use as a basis for denying their obligation? Okay. One should not be an issue because it's a corporation. Two, okay, 3 years ago. No, since suspended for 2 weeks before. Okay. Three, he pled guilty to a felony. He's out. I would go with three only. See, the four part is tough because 3 and 4 was a choice. I would take it, but it's not there. So I would have to go with 3 because he pled guilty to a felony less than 10 years ago. That better be the right answer. Okay. An agent recommends that a client purchase a particular security. The agent believes the client has the resources to pay for the transaction. 3 days after the trade is executed, the client he cannot meet the financial obligation. If the agent lends personal funds to the client, boom, that's wrong. A is out because you can't even loan them anyway. B, you don't lose that right to rescission. D, agent be acting in an unethical manner. And C, agent be committing fraud. I don't know that it's fraud, but it is unethical because you can't lend money. An agent is asked by a client to open an account. By the way, an agent can lend money to clients who are immediate family member or business friends or affiliates of the firm or lending institutions. An agent is asked by a client to open an account and buy stock for the client's spouse. Which of the following is true? You can't do that shit. The spouse must sign a trading authorization or else these actions are prohibited. The only thing we could do is probably A. Because verbal authorization, no, we're not okay because broker-dealers and agents have to have written authorization. Not as normal acceptable. You can't open an account for other people, and the agent is at risk if the stock declines. Now, so you can open an account for somebody else if they give you permission in writing. Okay. An agent of a BD has a business relationship with an agent of another BD. They both own a large quantity of LRR stock. Which of the following statements is true? If both agents buy and sell large amounts of LRR to increase trading volume. Okay, we know that's wrong. This action is not permissible since the agents are employed by 2 different broker-dealers. It's not permissible. That's not the reason. It may be market manipulation. It probably is. This action is permissible. No, because they're doing it to increase the trading volume. Out. It's a match sale and allowable type of securities transaction. So, and is that's right. It is a match sale, but it's not allowable. So look at that tricky question. So B should be the answer. It's manipulation. Which of the following investment advisory practices are permitted? A client terminates in a relationship with an IA, half of the contract, and they get 50% of prepaid fees as called for in the contract. That's okay. Client's portfolio increases from 100 to 150 over a 1-year period, and the advisor charges a client fee only 1% of the 50,000 increase. Well, we'll come back to that. That's not really okay unless they're a qualified client. Okay. An investment advisory firm appoints 3 new senior partners and for competitive reasons does not disclose this. Whenever you have new partners or they come and leave, you have to let the clients know. And if a majority come or go, then you have to get permission. An IA firm is purchased by a large broker-dealer and all the client contracts remain in force. Again, when ownership of an IA changes, then you have to get permission from the clients. Okay, so I'm going to go with, I could see B being a trick question. I'm going to go with this one, because that's what it is. It's in the contract. A customer's objectives are capital preservation and current income. The agent recommends a client purchase S&P index fund. Okay. Well, it's the same fucking question every time. So it's not front running, which is trading ahead of the customer. Unauthorized trading, he didn't do it, so he's only asking them to do it. It's not unauthorized trading or churning. It has to be unsuitability. Kind of shitty. They ask the same question twice. Which of the following statements is true regarding the sharing of profits and losses in a client's account? A, they must be in proportion to the percentage of his contributions. I'm going to go with that. B is not true. You need consent. You do need the employer consent, and the sharing is prohibited. That's not true. As long as you meet these rules, you should be okay. The members of NASAA include administrators from all 50 states. I've seen this question on these exams, not on the real one. I think it's covered under everyone. I'll be wrong. And Canada, too, if you want to add. An agent who's registered in A contacts a client in B. The broker-dealer is registered in B, but not the agent. The agent may. A, no, you can't do shit in a state. You cannot fucking sell shit in a state unless you're registered. or there's an exempt trend. Basically, if it's a not an exempt transaction, if it's an institution and you don't have an office there. An agent opens a new account for a client and enters a market order to buy 200 shares of XYZ. At the end of the day, the agent turns a new account form and copy of the order ticket for approval by the supervisor. Under the uniform, which of the following statements is true? Okay, new clients must pay for their first attraction but close the business. That's not a thing. Agent must obtain prior approval for every order. No. Account approval is required prior to executing. I would think so. There's normal business practice. That's not true. I'm going to say that you have the trades don't have to be approved, but the account does. Which of the following persons will be considered an agent? Employee of an issuer responsible for executing for employee stock ownership plan? No, he works for his own firm. He works for the issuer doing it. Throw that out. An individual selling an unregistered, non-exempt security that he inherited from his order. That's just a guy selling his stupid shares. A sales assistant authorized to accept and solicit orders. That's probably the answer, but we're going to go through D. An intern trying to get people to go to seminar. No, so I would go with C because she's accepting orders. An agent has just received an unsolicited order from a customer. The customer wants to purchase a large amount of speculative stock. Although the customer has the financial resources to bear the risks of this investment, they do not think it fits the client's investment objectives. The agent may do all the following except. Okay, let's start with D. Accept the order. Yes, you can do that. Attempt to convince the customer to hedge the unsuitable. Yes, you can do that because you're trying to protect them. Attempt to convince a customer not to buy the stock by suggesting alternative investment vehicles that match the profile. Yes, you cannot hold the order. You cannot fucking hold the order. And if that's the answer, not the answer, I'll be pissed. Okay. Got a 92. I got 5 wrong because I was rushing through it. Those are the 5. There we go. So let's make sure we got these. We'll go through them real quick. Why did I get this wrong? Because I added in the TIN number, which I don't care about. Okay. I made a mistake on that. I wasn't sure. We know this package, all you need is consent to serve as process and filing fees. Everything else is submitted through CRD anyway. You don't need to do binding arbitration. They're saying it's never permitted that are not recorded in the books and records. I'm saying you can if you have clients, if you have the firm's permission and we'll go with that one. And if you're just helping people sell shares and not doing it, they don't really care. A broker deal is participating in an IPO. If it's immediately after for the first, let's see. So if it's IPO, the first 90 days after, if it's an over-the-counter, first 90 days you have to get prospectus. If it's additional, it's the first 40 days. If it's on the exchange, it's 25 days. Good, IPO. Agent or broker dealer, right? So if Peggy's at a branch in the back of a bank, you have to make sure that it's segregated, and you do have to know that everything's not. I see why I fucked that up. See, I'm going too fast. It's not FDIC insured. So they can be SIPC, and you have to tell them they are SIPC insured, but not FDIC. See, I went too fast on that. And that would be it. And I think that should be it. So I'm going to stop the recording.